Afternoon, everybody. Christian here. So today I got that little dark thing off the wall over there. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, I moved it. I got a lot to talk about today, and I'm going to break it in pieces and then I'm going to tie it all together, so bear with me. Where do I want to start? My son, and you guys know, let me catch you guys up who don't know. Today is December the 22nd, 2020. You won't see this video for like over a week from now. I make a video every week and I share that with you guys, but I try to keep one ahead at least, so that if something comes up and I'm unable to do whatever my plan was, I have a backup video. So I'm always putting out a video every single week. That's the goal, right? So I forgot last week's video, which is going to come out in a couple of days, so I'm kind of confused on where I'm at. I forgot to mention, you know, Merry Christmas and all that, because it wasn't Christmas when I shot the video, or it wasn't as close to Christmas, and so I didn't think to say it. I did the exact same thing with my Thanksgiving video. I didn't think to say it because it wasn't when I shot it Thanksgiving. So retroactively, and Happy New Year. If I don't know where this is going to land in the pipeline either. So anyway, I tell you that the date today, so I can explain this and you can understand the chronological order. My son yesterday, no, day before, on the 20th, he was standing in the kitchen in the pantry, and I was in here, and all of a sudden I hear this loud screaming. You know, someone has fallen and they're hurt. So, and he's also one of those people that, you know, he's younger, and so to me it seems like he's a bit of a drama queen sometimes when he gets hurt. So when I hear him screaming at the top of his lungs, I assume it's not as bad as it's making it out to be. And so I go in there actually chastising him about, I can't understand you when you're screaming, you know. So he's like, you know, my leg, and I'm like, okay, I can't pick you up off the ground. You're too big for that, and I can't bend, it just won't work. So you're gonna have to, you know, get to the couch, and then from there I'll be able to leverage you up and pick you up. And he's like, oh, I can't do it. It's like, you know, people fall off of mountains and then drag themselves to civilization. You are stronger than you think you are. So he does it. Now, I've never had my knee go out. I have no idea what that pain is like. I've known people who've had that and had to deal with it, so they say it's not pleasurable. So I'm taking their word for it, and of course not touching them. But my wife, she was in there, and she decides that she's going to pull his pants down a bit and have a look at his knee. So she looks and she's like, yeah, it's still out. So I'm like, well, I don't know, you know. So I look at it, and sure enough, it looks pretty bad. So I looked up on YouTube what happens when you get your knee put back in place. And there's a video on YouTube of this guy, an adult, getting a couple shots in the knee and for pain, and then they put the knee back in place. And the man seemed to be in pain as they were attempting to do this. So I thought, okay, this is definitely something a doctor needs to be doing, because I'm too squirmish and I don't want to do that. So we take, you know, I pick him up and I carry him out to the car, and, you know, put him into the car the best we could, and my wife drives him to the doctor. We didn't figure it'd be very long. They had a couple shots, they put it back in place according to YouTube, and have a nice day. So I didn't go along, which my wife pointed out later, because of COVID, they probably wouldn't have let me and her in at the same time anyway, so it was no big deal. So then I got the updates, which I then shared with you guys as it was unfolding. I posted on YouTube, you know, my son had his knee go out, he's at the ER, he's been there for half a dozen hours, 3 doctors have attempted to put it back in place to no avail, and now they're waiting for, they're going to admit him, and tomorrow morning they're going to have another doctor come in, an orthopedic doctor, and he's going to look it over. So they do an MRI the next day, and sure enough it needs surgery. So, and I updated you guys, this is unfolded. The surgeon, you know, he was very quick. He said, you know, it was completely torn, the ligament was completely torn away, and the kneecap had actually flipped, and he was unique in that. And so he put it all back together, And, you know, our son is home now recovering. And tomorrow I take him to his first physical therapy. Now, just prior to that, let's leave that story on the side here for a minute. Just prior to that, my wife comes to me a couple days prior, and she's like, I tried to start the car and nothing happened. And I'm like, it's frustrating. Because a while back, a few weeks back, I had left the lights on in the car and I had drained the battery, and so I had to get it jumped, and then we were doing this whole thing. And I noticed that after that, it seemed kind of sluggish, like the battery didn't seem to want to turn the car over as quickly as it used to. And I thought maybe it's just me, I'm not a mechanic, but it just seemed that way. And so sure enough, when this happened, I'm thinking, okay, this is that thing I was concerned with. So I tell my wife, look up on your phone, you know, on your Walmart app, and see how much a battery for our car is going to cost. And so she comes back and she hands me the phone, and there on the phone is a battery for our car. It's almost $500. And I'm like, since when does a vehicle cost $500? You know, a battery for a vehicle. But I'm like, I'm just trying to stay positive, you know, don't let it get to you. Even when my son got hurt, we'll sidestep here. When my son got hurt, he first hit the ground, he was like yelling, he was like, Dad, you know, why me, God, why me? And it's like, that's the wrong attitude. You don't know what benefits are going to come from this. Like, you know, in hindsight, I look back and I think he damaged his knee earlier, because we know he had his knee had a problem in the past, and not too long ago, and he got hurt, and his mom was like, hey, do you want to, you know, go to the doctor? I'm like, I don't think he's that bad. I think he's back in place or anything. But I think it probably started the problem of him ended up needing to get the surgery. But in any event, he at that time was, you know, woe is me kind of thing. And I was talking to him and starting to explain to him, you got to keep positive and remember that, you know, we don't know why God's guiding us the way He is, but it will always work out the way God wants it to, and a benefit. And so here we are dealing with this vehicle, and it's a $500 battery, and I'm like, you know, I want to scream out why, you know, woe is me kind of thing. And I'm like, no, I'm going to stay positive. I'm just going to keep believing, trust God, you know. And you're moving forward. So then I go out a few hours later to get in the car to get someone to give me a jump, you know, so I can get ready to go actually buy this battery. And just for the sake of it, I decide to turn the key and see if anything happens. And sure enough, the car starts, no problem. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I don't need a battery after all. Maybe there's something else wrong with the car that I'm just not aware of, you know. I'm not a mechanic. So I'm thinking, you know, how can I save myself $500 basically? And I'm looking for what kind of solutions I can come up with in my mind. You know, maybe the battery cables are loose or something. So we drive all the way into town, and we stop to get gas before we actually go into Walmart. And I'm telling my wife, you know, hey, we don't need it, you know. So she pumps the gas, and she goes to turn the thing, and sure enough, nothing, you know. It doesn't start at all. So I go out and I get someone to help me jump the car, and boom, we go off, we go. So my wife, she says, you know, even if we don't need this battery, then we'll have a new one. And the car, you know, it's a 2016 car, I think it is, and so it's a 4-year-old battery anyway, about to be 5 years old. So it won't kill us to buy a new battery. I'm like, that's a good point. So we go into Walmart, come to find out they're not $500, they're $125. I don't know how she pulled up a $500 battery on her phone on that app, but we didn't have to pay that. So thank God there was another solution that the Lord had given us. So we purchased the battery, put it in the car. Had we not done that, and then my son the next day, we went and actually took the moment to look up on YouTube how to change out the battery, and I showed my son how to do it. And so the very next day he ends up getting hurt. But had we not made that change, it would have really sucked for my son to be in great pain, and I'm sitting there going, the car won't start, you know what I'm saying? But thankfully we didn't have to do that, so I'm, you know, blessed again in that way. And on top of it, now the car's got a brand new battery and we don't have any problems with it starting at all. So what I'm trying to say is that in these cases where we're dealing with difficulties, they make us stronger, and they have a benefit. There is actually, in fact, no negative with God, because with God, all things work to good, right? Those who love the Lord and are called according to His purpose. So it's one of those things that we had to keep our heart right and focus in this way. Having said all of that, and though I can look at that and know these things, there's one detail in my life that I have been struggling with for years. And the Lord today on the 22nd showed me something that completely flipped my understanding and my perspective on a situation. So let me share that with you, and it'll matter to you. For years now, I've spoken to you about different things the Lord has shown me. Certain lands that He has shown me being on, like I'm walking these streets, or He's pointing them out to me to go live in these places. I'm thinking, you know, God, these are just not nice places. You know, they're very liberal places. One in particular is California. And I've lived in California in the past, and in one particular dream, the Lord showed me the coast of California, and I was looking at the coast, and I knew I was looking at it like the Lord was saying, pick anywhere you want, you know, in that state. And I see the ocean, and it's coming up to the shore, and it's muddy water, right? And I just don't see anything that I like in this dream. And so there's that kind of a experience that's been going on in my life for some time with the Lord, where He's showing me again and again, California, California. And at one point, He's just San Francisco, you know, puts you right smack in the, like, the enemy's camp, in a sense, you know. And every time I try to push it away, be like, you know, God, this is a horrible place, I'm always reminded of the Israelites in the Promised Land. And they're like, oh, we can't go in there because our children will become prey, there's giants in the land, and blah, 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 blah. So I know that argument is faulty. I know that if God is telling you to go there, then you should go there, right? And so, but I'm still, my heart is still back and forth in this thing, and has been for a long time, because I'm just having a hard time understanding the why. And you want to make sure you're doing and hearing right. And for me, to know you're hearing right, you need understanding, okay? Well, if you understand why you're doing something, then you know, okay, this is logical, this is God, right? And so, for me, today was that day where God gave me the understanding to perceive what He was seeing. And I realized it like this. And we'll look at it from a political perspective, but you could look at it from any perspective. I mean, if you want to look at it from, let's take it to the simplest form, like the light, right, shines in the darkness. And the darkness runs from the light. It's never the other way around, unless you're looking at Christians in the United States of America. Christians in the United States of America flip it, and they say, oh man, California is such a horrible state, let's leave, and we will go to some nicer state, some state that's more conservative, right? Texas or Florida, Nevada, someplace, you know. And you see this exodus happening from California all the time. Now, I could go into more detail on that exodus, but in any event, the main thing the Lord is showing me is that we're doing it wrong. Christians are running away from the light, from the darkness, when they are the light. They should in fact be running toward the darkness. And that's how you would take over a city, that's how you take over a state, that's how you regain your country. So the Lord is giving this understanding to show me that when you see, like for example, I'm reading through, there's my Bible, reading through Scripture this morning, and I'm actually reading the part where He's, in Deuteronomy, He's talking about don't do the things that you see the enemy or doing in their land and so forth and so on, and that it's not for your righteousness' sake that you're taking this land, but for their wickedness, they're being kicked out of the land. And so we see that happening in California as well. So when you see wickedness happening, rather than running away from it, know that God is telling you that wickedness exists just before I dethrone them, before I remove them from the land and place you as ruler of that land, right? This is your land. The best of the land is being given to Christians. So that transference of wealth is also a part of the bigger transference of wealth that all Christians are talking about. But it's just a change in understanding. Instead of seeing darkness and thinking, oh no, run away, you should see darkness and think opportunity, right? There are no negatives within the kingdom of God. Every negative works to your benefit, just like the positive does. That's just kind of what the Lord was showing me and sharing with me. And do I have any time left? A little bit. So I think I covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover on that. Just some food for thought, and it also, like I said, the same thing that you could look at from a spiritual perspective as being someone's darkness, right? They don't know the Lord, and you do. Why would you run away from those who don't know the Lord? You wouldn't. You'd run toward them to share the light with them, right? So again, no matter how you look at it, Christians should not be running away from liberal states. They should be going after them like opportunities. I guess that's it. God bless, take care, and I will see you in the next one.